It's the Blue Vote Cafe, a little bit wonkish, a whole lot of fun. I'm David Schellenberg along with Rachel Oyster. We're the co-chairs for Democrats Abroad in Canada's capital region of Ottawa. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, David.
What's going on over at your house
today?
this week? What?
Are you staying dry?
Yeah, it's rainy season as much as that is in Ottawa.
Yeah, it started on Halloween and it just won't stop.
Won't stop. No, my problem is I'm being inundated by fruit flies.
Oh, fun.
Yes, and I don't know where they're coming from. I mean, it's. I understand they come, in a condo building like I am in. They come up through the drains, and I don't know if it's as it gets colder outside. The fruit flies feel that my place is a warm, comfortable place to live, but they're very annoying.
So a little container with like an apple core in it, stretch a piece of plastic over it, poke holes, and You've got yourself a fruit fly catcher.
Oh, I've got a fruit fly graveyard going on.
My husband also likes to dust bust them. He goes after them with the dust buster and then releases them outside.
Releases them. Okay, I was thinking.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Throw them in the trash? They'll just fly out again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never dawned on me that you can vacuum them up, but that
you can vacuum them up. They're very little bodies.
That's better than any video game I've ever played, I guess.
Yes, he has fun.
Okay. Well, on that note, who's with us today, Rachel?
Today we are joined by Erica Gibson and David Morse, both from Democrats Abroad Norway. Welcome, Erica and David.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to hearing what you guys have been up to. But first, we like to ask everyone, we know you're in Norway. What brought you there and keeps you there, and what states do you vote out of?
I'll let David start since his name starts with a D and mine is an E. So.
You could go with last names first, though. You
right, but she's G. She's G and I'm M.
Exactly.
So I've been in Norway since 2019, but the move really started on election night 2016. My wife's Norwegian. We were living just outside of Princeton, New Jersey, which is where I vote from.
Uh-huh.
And she was not a U.S. citizen. Not all that political either. So she went to bed early.
Oh.
I'm a nerd, and I had my computer, and I was looking at all the elections and blah blah blah. About midnight, she wakes up and comes out and says, "How much did Hillary win by?"
Oh no!
I said, "Donald Trump is going to be our next president." She said, "No, Donald Trump is going to be your next president." And so that was the next morning we started making a plan to get out of town, but it took or get out of the U.S. And it took a few years. I was still working, and so we moved in 2019. But that's why. That's proximate cause for my being in Norway.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And Erica, what about you?
I have a similar timeline to David, although a completely different story. So I came to Norway for work. I got recruited in October of 2016 to come work at the big telco here and was in the process of interviewing for that job during the lead up to the election. Found out I got the job right before the election.
Wow.
And then was very happy that I was packing my bags and I moved here on January 11th of 2017. So I did not live and have not lived in the U.S. under Trump at all.
Wow.
So I got the heck out of Dodge too, but I came for work. So that's one of the two reasons that Norwegians often get foreigners coming in. It's either for love or for a job. And so David came with his wife and I came for work. So
exactly.
I came for love and for hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Or avoidance.
Right.
And Erica, what state do you vote out of?
So I am from New Orleans, Louisiana, but I grew up from about when I was 12 years old in Houston, Texas. And my best friend from there married a guy from a little tiny town in Texas. Well, it's not a little tiny town. It's a pretty big city, actually, but for Texas size, called Wichita Falls.
Uh-huh.
So my family is all deceased. And so I vote out of Wichita Falls, Texas now. And I've been joking with my Texan friends since our voting rights are being curtailed, as you all know. that if they try to take away my rights in Texas, I'm just going to tell them that's where my gun lives. Because I could not bring my gun to Norway, and I am a Southern woman who grew up in a hunting family. And so my gun is in Wichita Falls, Texas. So my gun lives in Texas. So I think I should be able to retain voting rights there until the end of time as far as the Texans are concerned. So.
Wherever my gun is where I vote.
Interesting. Yes,
that's quite a country song.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it will probably float in Texas, is what I will say.
I think you're probably right.
Gives new meaning to the adage, home is where the heart is, right? Home is where the
exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we should add that to voting qualifications.
There you go.
Wow.
It's probably in the Texas state constitution somewhere. I mean, I'm not going to swear to it, but
gerrymandering has nothing on where your gun is.
That's right. So let's redraw the lines with that.
Right. So tell us about how you each found your way to Democrats Abroad.
Erica,
I'll
you
go
can
first.
Go first on that one. Yeah.
We're very in sync. Yeah, this is good.
Gibson before Morris. That's right.
That's right. We're taking turns. This is how we do it in Dems Abroad Norway. I have I don't know. I never really considered myself a Democrat until the Trump stuff started happening. And I was like, okay, like we have to choose party lines now. I kind of voted independent and I consider myself pretty progressive. And I always joke that I moved from California to the only place more liberal in the world, and that's Norway. Because I was living in California before I moved here. So basically, I didn't join Democrats Abroad until summer of last year. I was concerned with what was going on with the presidential nomination. And when Kamala was finally announced as the nominee, I was like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. Because she is my senator from California. And so I was friends with Michelle Senzer, who a lot of us know from doing various call hubbing duties. And she suggested that I join Dems Abroad because I was like, I want to do something. Let's get something going because I feel like I really need to work hard to make sure that this guy doesn't get elected again.
Right.
And so I joined. I started call hubbing. I attracted the notice of Andy, who's one of our executive committee members and famous call hubber, always in the top 10 throughout the world in every campaign that we do. And he suggested to the board at the time in Norway that they make me secretary because our previous secretary had resigned. And I will let the other person on this call talk about that.
That would be me, because I was the world's shittiest secretary. I answered. So I've been a member of Democrats Abroad, I think, for about 4 years. I probably joined in 2021, so after the election. I didn't even know about Democrats Abroad, and I don't know how I found out about it. But I joined in 2021, and then in 2023, about a year before Erica came on the scene, I answered an email to members from Christina Skovsgaard, who was the chair at the time, saying, we're looking for a secretary. And didn't say what the secretary's duties were. And I'm retired, so I said, yeah, I can do that. I know how to take notes at meetings. And,
right.
But then it turned out that you got to learn something. The secretary's duties are really to manage the database and to organize meetings and make as well as take notes at meetings. I'm great at taking notes. I'm terrible at databases. So I never learned. I actually failed the exam, the open book exam, to become certified on Nation Builder. I failed it twice, and so then I said, I don't think I'm cut. I told Christine, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And then Christina and Andy found Erica, so it's actually pretty fun.
Perfect.
He was excused.
Right.
I took over.
I thought that you were going to say you couldn't be secretary, so they made you president.
Yeah.
No,
and that's and that's how he ended up vice chair.
And just so you know, should you ever shift countries, not all country secretaries manage the database.
Now you tell me.
I'm so sorry. Not to start a revolution in Norway or anything, but
Hey, I did just fine on Nation Builder. I still use it all the time. I sent out an email yesterday.
Yeah, you found a good solution.
Erica's a digital native. I am not.
Yeah, I'm a tech girl, so.
That's wonderful. So you two have embarked on a new project, and that really piqued my interest when I saw you mentioning it in the Democrats Abroad Global Signal chat. So tell us what you're doing.
David?
David's turn.
I don't know what I actually don't know. Are you referring to sort of
the radio show?
Yes, you're doing a
the radio show. Okay.
David, I'm right with you. I don't know what we're talking about either.
I thought it was some great other great innovation that we can actually talk about as well.
Talk about whatever you like. Yeah.
So okay, Erica, you start with the radio show.
All right. So one of our members, John Allen Reese, started Drammen Unlimited Radio, which is mostly an English language radio station here in Norway. Drammen is a city right outside of Oslo, but he does have some Norwegian content producers as well. Mm-hmm. And he had a podcast, and he decided he wanted to start a radio station. And he had originally asked David if Democrats abroad writ large would consider doing a weekly show. And we brought it back to our executive committee and decided, no, that's way too much work. We can commit to once a month. And he was going to interview me for the first one. And then I talked to David about it, and we decided to kind of shift it. And then it became David and I talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And we've somehow roped ourselves into a bi-weekly program. We've done 2, and we have our third one coming up. And that's hopefully we'll be using some clips from this program to pad that one out. Although John Allen was like, oh, yeah, it'll be about an hour long. So really, we only need you to talk for about 35 or 45 minutes, and then we'll pad it out with music. We'll put 2 or 3 songs in, and y'all can pick the music that you like. And nice. David and I talk a lot. So our first program had 0 songs. And then our second program, I had to cut a section so that we could have 2 songs.
Yeah, she had to cut me for music. I was really offended by that.
I wasn't going to say it, but.
And what have you?
It's been a lot of fun doing this so far. We'll see over the long term how much fun it is. But right. One of the things that's really interesting about the guy who is the creator of the new radio station is he's a former Chicago cop who was on the force for several years and then experienced several episodes of blatant racism. Oh. And he reported it to the officials in the department, and it got worse. And he got a lot of pushback from the department. And then he was investigating a drug case, unrelated. This is not like Serpico. This is not a Serpico story. Mm-hmm. But he was investigating drug cases and a drug ring. And some members of the ring showed up not only at his wife's office, but at their house.
Oh, my.
To intimidate them. And then they got out of town. So they moved to that's when they moved to Norway. And for the first 5 years, he and his wife were here. His wife's Norwegian. Right. And the first 5 years he and his wife were here, he basically was under, an alias and didn't have his address. He didn't have any public address or anything else. He's a really interesting guy, but he's got a great voice and he's really talented. He's also a musician and a comedian. Wow. So he has some really interesting, background, a really interesting life story as well.
Wonderful. So what's your show about? What have you talked about in your first 2 episodes?
Well, it's just before election. So we talk mostly about voting. And we talk about the events of the last 2 weeks, and all the stuff that's going on. Our second program was right after the No Kings / No Tyrants protest. And Erica, do you want to say why we don't have, why it's not No Kings here in Norway?
Sure, because we have a king and we like him. We like King Harald. And also, we didn't want to step on Invisible's toes, and the No Kings protest people's toes so that they didn't get their 501c3 funding pulled. So we called it No Tyrants, and we had the other protest in June to match the first No Kings one, and we called that one No Dictators. And that was a beautiful sunny day in Oslo. We had a picnic, and we had kind of an open mic situation. Well, we had a bullhorn, and we let people come up and speak their mind about what was going on back in the U.S., and it was fantastic. And so we kind of mimicked that for this No Tyrants protest. And we had about 80 people turn out on the coldest day in Oslo so far this year.
Wow.
It was just above freezing, and no matter what temperature scale you use, Celsius or Fahrenheit. And we had about 80 people turn out, and a couple people come up and speak on the mic. So that was nice. And we did some dancing and some singing, and it was a good fellowship and protesting.
Was it all Americans that showed up, or was it some locals too?
No.
It was mostly Americans. We did have some locals, and we got a little bit of news. So we had like Norway's version of the Associated Press interviewed me beforehand, and then they sent a photographer out, and they took pictures and updated the story, and about 4 different news sources picked it up. So that was nice. Mm-hmm. It was good times.
And the other reason it was not No King, it wasn't No Kings, is because there aren't very many Republicans, either with a capital R or a small r, here in this constitutional monarchy. Mm-hmm. So we're not a republic. So here, and so that was another good reason to call it something other than No King.
Right. And you're not alone with No Tyrants. Canada, the UK, right. Spain, a lot of places around the world was No Tyrants. And in fact, David, I think I saw a little video of you speaking at your June event, which really caught my attention. It sounded like you had a really interesting story. I don't know if you remember what you said, but if you do.
I didn't say anything because it was my doppelganger who actually gave the speech. So I couldn't be there because
Andy,
we had visitors. Andy, I think, didn't Andy give it? Because we had visitors from the U.S. here, long planned. So I didn't get to. I don't live in Oslo. I live about an hour and a half away. So Andy gave it. I wrote it, and Andy gave it. But it was basically.
It might have been the March one, though, David, that she saw.
Oh, maybe it could have been March, the hands-off rallies. Yeah.
Yeah, because David did speak at that one.
I don't know which it was.
Was that the one where I used profanity?
Yes, probably.
I don't remember.
Do you recall any profanity?
I don't
WTF,
recall.
for example?
I do not recall.
Okay. David is always the one who gets to use our one cuss word that we get in Dems Abroad. Right.
It's assigned.
Anyway, were you referring to the reference to Lincoln?
You know what?
Rachel?
I just remember being very taken by what you said, but it was months ago, and I don't remember the specifics. So, yes, You mentioned Lincoln. Tell us about Lincoln.
So you're right. So Andy mentioned Lincoln.
Andy mentioned Lincoln on your behalf.
So,
and who's Andy?
So it was Andy Stites, who is
our phone hub, our call hub extraordinaire.
Okay.
Voting member of executive committee.
Right. Long-standing former counsel for Democrats abroad as well. So Democrats abroad in Norway as well.
Right.
So So my reference to Lincoln, it was the event was at the Lincoln Monument in Frogner Park, which is the main park in a beautiful park in Oslo, and. Lincoln, we think of Lincoln, of course, for his wonderful achievements like keeping the nation together after it split up, and the Emancipation Proclamation that led to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. But the contrast between Lincoln's rhetoric and the rhetoric of our current president is really quite extraordinary. But in his first inaugural address, we think more of Lincoln's second inaugural, the Better Angels of Our Nature, and binding up the nation's wounds. But in his first inaugural address, which was right before the beginning of the Civil War, was in March of 1861, he referred to, he said, a president can't do much damage in 4 years because the people won't let him do the damage. I'm trying to remember exactly the terms that Lincoln used. Oh, he said the president had limited power for mischief. And quote, while limited power for mischief. And while the people, quote, while the people retain their virtue and vigilance, no administration by any extreme of wickedness or folly can very seriously injure the government in the short space of 4 years. Wow. Boy, was he frickin' wrong. So I guess that's what, and I think that's essentially what I wrote, and Andy gave that. Andy gave that speech, and sure. You think about the eloquence of Lincoln and the I don't know what you call Trump, idiocy of Trump. It's just extraordinary. I think it was Lincoln. It was Trump's first President's Day as president, and he said, "Who knew that Lincoln was a Republican?"
Well, he didn't even know J.D. Vance was an author.
Right.
So, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right.
Well,
right. I mean, I used to be a Republican. I mean, I started out in politics as in Republican politics of the sort of La Follette progressive type, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But it's been a long time. It's been a really long time since I've been a Republican. But that's how I got started in politics.
And you were a Senate staffer, I think?
I was a Senate staffer for two Republican senators who would not be Republicans now. Jacob Javits from New York, and who was one of the authors of the Voting Rights Act,
right,
1965, and Bob Stafford from Vermont, who was one of the authors of the Clean Air and Clean Water Act, and was the chair of the Environment Committee.
Wow.
in the early 80s.
So you have an insider's appreciation for what's going on. I mean, you can.
Yeah, it makes me sick.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes.
Rachel will know where I'm going with this question, but did you ever meet Reagan?
Oh yeah, sure.
Canada is in trouble.
I actually wrote a speech for him.
Oh,
did you?
What was it about?
What was the topic? Do you remember?
So I was the director of Reagan's first task force on the arts and humanities.
Oh wow!
And when it's a long story, maybe too detailed, but I'll start. When Reagan became president, David Stockman, the head of the Office of Management, but his first head of the Office of Management Budget, zeroed out the two national endowments. And Javits had been also the author of the legislation that created the national endowments, the lead Senate author of the legislation, along with Claiborne Pell, Democrat from Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. And Reagan's buddies in Hollywood said, "Oh my God, you're taking money away from the arts, from us, right? Mm-hmm. From the thing that we do." And so he asked his chief of staff, Jim Baker, to set up a task force to study the problem. The problem mm-hmm. being there was not going to be any money for the national endowments. And right. And I turned out I was the director of that task force, which sent a report and said you shouldn't eliminate the national endowments, and Reagan didn't. Actually, it was one of the few areas that didn't get cut dramatically in Reagan's first budget.
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah, because Canada is in trouble at the moment because one of the provinces here created a television ad that aired in the United States
yes.
with comments of Reagan and what he thinks about tariffs. And Trump argues that Reagan loved tariffs and they were a great tool in the arsenal of governments. And I'm wondering what you think. Did Reagan like tariffs?
Did Reagan like? I never asked him whether he liked tariffs. All I asked him was what he This was at the time that Nancy was buying new china. Right. She didn't have a full set of china for state dinners. And so at the luncheon to present this report to the president, we looked to see if the plates were matching. And so I think I asked some quip about, has he gotten all his plates together? Something like that. But no, I never asked him about tariffs. And I don't think he probably knew much about tariffs. This is just the beginning of his first term.
Oh, okay. A full set of china. Now you got me wondering, what does a full set of china at the White House look like?
I don't know.
That's a lot of china, I would think.
I think only Melania knows.
Yeah. You can probably find images online.
Yeah.
So, well, we've asked you lots of things, David. We haven't asked you as much, Erica. Do you have
what do you think of Reagan?
What do you think of Reagan? Or do you have a background in politics? Yeah.
He's dead. Yay. Move on.
Well, Erica, you should talk about how you got involved in politics in the first place, because I think that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that on our first episode. And I should also, I guess, plug our radio show, which we've just changed the name of, to try to be a little bit more neutral and nonpartisan to hopefully allow some of the people we'd like to have on as guests come on as guests. But it's U.S. politics in plain English. But when I was in high school in Houston, my senior year, it was not like an exciting voting year. It was 1993. And we were tasked in our government and economics class to work on a political campaign. And the way that I chose the political campaign that I worked on was I chose to work on the campaign of the father-in-law of Mary Lou Retton, our perfect 10 gymnast, who I was a huge fan of since the 1984 LA Olympics when I was a little girl and saw her score her perfect 10. Right. Her father-in-law was running for city council. It was a nonpartisan position, so I went out and door knocked for Council Member Kelly. Yeah. So,
did he win?
He did, and he was a Houston city councilman for many, many years. He's deceased now, but yeah, he served Houston pretty well as far as I know. So
that is a lovely story.
So thank you, Mary Lou Retton. She's no longer married to his son, and he's no longer alive, but it was good times back in 1993. So. Yeah.
No, and it's also wonderful, your first experience doing that, to have it end in victory, because it
Indeed.
doesn't always.
No.
And I also have to ask, since you changed your radio show's name to be a little more neutral, what were you calling it before?
So David came up with Democrats for Democracy, because as you know, what's going on south of the border of y'all, it's not looking very democratic at the moment. And so we just want to restore our faith and our like use of democracy, which doesn't seem like it's happening anytime fast. So there are programs about U.S. politics in Norway, podcasts, sometimes TV shows, but they're all in Norwegian. And so when we were kind of riffing on what we could call it, we were talking about doing something with blue in the name, as I think y'all saw from the Signal chat. And we can't really do that in Norway because blue is a very specific political party here, and they do not align with what we align with necessarily.
That's true in Canada too. The blue is conservative and red is liberal. Yeah,
exactly. So we said, okay, we can't do like any of those fun names that would work well with y'all's podcast. And so I was like, well, what does it do on the 10, right? Like, what does it do on the label? Like, what are we trying to do? And David's like, well, we're doing a show on U.S. politics, but we're doing it, in English, and that's what separates us. And I was like, well, let's just call it U.S. politics in plain English. So
that's great. So your audience is Americans in Norway, or is it Norwegians who speak English as well? Who are your
Well, we heard tonight. We had a meeting with the director of the radio channel and some other broadcasters, and we heard that he's getting a lot of feedback about our show in particular from Norwegians because they're very interested in U.S. politics. And so I think it's interesting for them to get, to get an American's perspective in Norway on what's going on back home.
Right.
Interested in the brilliance of U.S. politics or the train wreck that's U.S. politics?
No, David S. The train wreck. I mean, we just gave out the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, and that was not received well by the current administration. And of course, The U.S. is a major trade partner with Norway, and we're always being threatened with tariffs, as y'all know from your Reagan videos. Yeah, so I think it's mostly like, is anybody putting out the dumpster fire? Are people fueling the flames of the dumpster fire? What's happening, and what do these Americans in Norway think about it?
Right.
So, yes, I think they're interested.
Yeah. And I'm curious. Go ahead, David. You're the guest.
And there's a I'm sure that it's true in Canada as well, but maybe less than in Europe, where the native language is, the language is not English. It's sort of a collective head scratch. There's incredible respect for American democracy, or what American democracy has been here in Norway. In fact, the Norwegian Constitution was the first constitution written, modeled on the American Constitution in 1814.
Wow.
So, there's a real bond for that reason, if only for that reason. We're also celebrating, is it the 200th anniversary of Norwegian immigration to the U.S. this year?
Wow.
Yes. From 1825. That's right.
Right. It's 200. And there are several million Norwegian people of Norwegian ancestry in the U.S. So we have there's that connection. There's that connection as well. So as I said, there's this. How could this happen? Right. So we're trying to explain it, and at the same time as help make it not happen. Right.
Yeah. It's hard I could see the world. It's the same in Canada. We have all sorts of Canadians who are fascinated by what's going on in the United States and who want to help get Trump out of office, and they're just not entirely sure what to do a lot of times. When you talk to the people in Norway who cannot participate in American elections, do you offer them any advice for how they can help change the world?
Vote.
I think, we have, when they come to our rallies, when they write on our social media posts, for example, we try to always give people action items, right? Because David and I ran on this platform of do something when we ran for chair and vice chair of Dems Abroad Norway. And so there are many kind of hidden Americans here in Norway, because many Norwegians, we can have dual citizenship now. And so there are Norwegians who have kids who were born in America. And so we're really trying to get the word out that every American can vote. So if you were born in America, even if you consider yourself Norwegian, you can vote. And we had huge turnout at voter registration last year from Norwegians who had American, birthright citizenship and or an American parent, but were raised in Norway. And they came out and registered to vote for the first time. So phone a friend, see if you can find a hidden American. Tell them that they can vote. Tell them to call us. Tell them to go to votefromabroad.org, right? So
exactly. Yeah, we try to do that in Canada as well. It's really hard to get out that message, even if you've never lived there. If your parent was born in the U.S., go to Vote From Abroad. And
a lot of times we use the phrase "tell an American to vote." So one of the things that people who can't vote in U.S. elections could do is nag people who can vote.
Exactly. Use your voice. That's right.
And there are more people around. One of the things that we're trying to do is to be in and this have to balance this. Be in people's faces more. You said tell people to vote, and that's sort of what we're doing. You have to ask them, but sometimes you also have to tell them. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to be a little more prescriptive than we have been before, because this is the thing that drives me crazy, is that it's fairly easy to register to vote if you live outside the U.S. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to vote and confusing because the state rules are so different, both in terms of how to get your ballot, how to get your ballot back, what the deadlines are all different. And it's just, the rates of voting from abroad are just absolutely abysmal. And I don't think it's only because people think they don't have a choice or that it doesn't matter. I think it's because it's just too damn hard. And we got to make it. We have to got to make it easier and help people get over that barrier.
Which is what Vote from Abroad does, right? Because it is 50 different or 50 plus different electoral systems. So it's nice to have one spot that's just tailored to you and your district. As soon as you put in your information, you get the guidelines you need.
Right. So while Erica and a lot of our colleagues in Oslo were doing this great rally on No Dictators Day, No Tyrants Day, I and Andy Stites and others were on the phone doing, it was Call-A-Rama, right, that weekend, trying to get people to get their ballots and to
use them
and to vote. But the rates of voting are abysmal, less than 20% in the 2024 presidential. The last congressional one we have data for was under 4% in 2022. It's appalling. I mean, who knows what the rates are, what voting's going to be in this off-year election. There's some really important elections tomorrow.
What's the rate of voting in Norway for
Norwegian elections?
Norwegian elections, yeah.
We had an election this year. Yeah, and it was, I think, about 78% of the population turned out and voted.
That's amazing.
So and we have early voting for the 2 weeks preceding the election day. And then it's actually like 2 days where you can go in person to your polling location and vote.
Right.
So people are really into it here. And, we have, I think, about 12 different parties that you can vote for. So it's not at all like the U.S. And this was David and I's first election to vote in as Norwegian citizens because we're both dual citizens now. So we got to vote in a different country's election this year. It was very interesting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
It is a real milestone. Wow. And did you say, we hadn't heard this before, are you guys now chair and vice chair of DA Norway?
Yes.
Okay.
So David roped me into running and we won. So here we are.
Oh, that's great. Because we heard about the secretarial shuffle, but I didn't realize you had moved up.
Yeah, we had both been secretary in the past year or two.
Neither of us wanted to be secretary.
Chair and vice chair is so much easier.
No, I was about to say I would much prefer to be secretary, but like I said, we ran on the platform of do something, and let me tell you what, we have been doing some things. So we've had multiple rallies, town halls. We did the Call-A-Rama. Most of our executive committee phone banks or does voter help.
Wonderful.
And we've had a Halloween fundraiser party. Oh, gosh, what else have we done? We did our own campaign where we got Global to pull phone numbers for us of all of the people whose Republican senators or representatives were wavering on voting for the big bad bill. And we reached out to them personally through text messages and calls to try to get them to call their senators and their representatives to say no to the bill, which unfortunately did not work. But, hey, we gave it our best shot. Mm-hmm. So, we got elected in May and we've been doing something. So,
yeah. But that was a really good model that I gather has gotten notice from other country committees, because it's not just about, we're always focused on voting for the next election, right? The next general election. Yeah. But it's also really important to be able to stop, to either get laws passed or stop bad laws from being made. And so organizing our members, to reach out to their legislators to say either do this or don't do this. And this is what the effect would be. And this was about the impacts of the big bad bill, because there was a lot of buzz out there about Republican members who might, for a variety of reasons, might not like some of the things that were in the bill and might vote against it. But we learned a lot in the process. One of the things we learned in the process is that calling people in your country, from your country, the pickup rate is much better
Absolutely.
than if I'm calling France or if I'm calling Canada.
Or
through Call Hub.
Call Hub with the 202
Call Hub is a 202
area code.
Call Hub.
Yep.
You get a 202 area code. Yep. In Norway, you get +47, which is the local the local code. So
we've seen that in Canada
the pickup
too.
rate was really high.
Much higher, yeah. We had Canadians call Canadians, or Americans in Canada call Canadians. Americans in Canada call Americans in Canada from Canadian area codes to in the lead up to the elections tomorrow, which is November 4, 2025. A lot of critical races. And you're right, the pickup is much better than if they see a number come up with a 202 area code.
Right. And we provided text for people to call their representatives with stuff like, how could you call yourself a Republican if you're going to push a $4.7 trillion deficit, right?
Right.
Fiscally responsible Republican. You can't.
Well, especially after you bash the Democrats for doing the same thing a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, good for you. I'm wondering if there's anything else. Oh, actually, there's something else I wanted to ask you, David. You sent me a very interesting piece outlining your acquaintance with Joe Biden. Is that a story you'd like to tell?
Right. Oh, it's I can. If you go to the New York Daily News and see my commentary a week before Biden dropped out, it was about an episode on the Senate floor when in Biden's first term. I just thought it was, so I had submitted it originally to the New York Times, but they preferred to go with George Clooney than me. So,
sorry, David.
Right. So the New York
Times did the same to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I get him as vice chair? Sorry, David. No. Sorry. Go ahead.
So the New York Daily News picked it up, and I was told that it was influential because Schumer showed it to Nancy Pelosi and said, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not. And Pelosi said, well, the New York Times is sort of elitist, but if we lost the working class paper in New York, then maybe Biden really should withdraw.
Wow, that is interesting.
I don't know if that may be an apocryphal story, but I like it.
It's a good one to dine out on.
Yeah, right.
And I guess I can probably link to the article from the description because it was worth a read because you came away with one opinion of him and it changed over time.
Right.
From your early acquaintance.
I thought his performance when he was a freshman on the floor he had an anti-civil rights amendment on the Justice Department Appropriations bill that my boss, a Republican, not surprisingly, or maybe surprisingly, was the lead opponent of. So it was an interesting episode.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid. At the time. It was quite a heady experience.
Amazing. Well, we should probably let you guys go, but is there anything else that you'd like to touch on before we say goodbye?
No, thanks. This has been a lot of fun. Erica, any last words?
Sure. If you have a VPN, you can go to DrummondUnlimitedRadio.com and listen.
I was going to ask
you U.S. politics in plain English.
And what songs do you play on your show?
Oh, goodness. What did we have this last one? We had Ballroom Blitz because we talked about the ballroom boondoggle that's being built right now.
Oh, my God.
And we had War. What is it good for?
Yeah.
And it opened with Stevie Wonder's He's Mr. Know-It-All.
Excellent.
And our show's time is Wednesday, 4 p.m. Norway time, or the reprise is Friday at, I believe, 7 p.m. Norway time. So,
but it's not
so that would
posted
be minus 6 hours for Eastern time in the U.S. and 5 hours, 7 hours if you're in Canada.
And Rachel, it's not archived yet just because John Allen puts music with it and he doesn't have permissions to archive the music, so he has to take out.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to take out the music before he archives it. So he's going to start doing that in the next week or two. So we've only done 2 episodes. So hopefully by the time the next one comes out, they'll be archived and people can just go click on it and listen whenever they will. Yeah.
Super. All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
If you live outside the U.S., please register with your voting state at votefromabroad.org every year. Do it now. To find all our episodes, go to democratsabroad.org and look for us in the drop-down menus. I'm Rachel Oigster with David Schellenberg in Ottawa, Canada. Thank you for listening to Democrats Abroad, the Blue Vote Cafe.